Elementals, a film that I had semi-hope for, but not really. I found the project a bit confusing. But I had watched the film, and I was not impressed with it. It was not good at all. This film sucks. The only thing I can compliment the film for is its animation. That's about it. But the story, the characters, it's just bad. And of course there are its defenders. I know some of its defenders. But I just gotta get my thoughts out on this film because I was a little bit intrigued by the concept that a friend showed me, which was this concept art of the film of a fire girl and a water guy apparently getting into a relationship. I found the project a little bit confusing, but me and him did agree that there was potential for this project. And then the trailer started coming out, and I didn't know how to feel about the film. It just didn't feel right in some way. Eventually, the film came out of theaters. It did terribly in the box office, so that was not a good sign. Granted, a lot of Disney's films have been flopping in the box office, even though the Disney shills don't want to admit it. They'd probably go like, these scores are rigged. They claim that they didn't get this much money, but they actually got this much money. Like, some stupid crap like that. But the fact is, this film did terrible. Not as bad as like other films that they have released lately, but still pretty bad in the normal Disney standards of box office record, because they were the king of the box office for a big portion of their films. There are only a couple that flopped, but most of them were received very well in box office records. Now, I should probably get into the plot of this film. Sorry, this film will be unscripted because I want to get a review out of this, so I will do my best to not repeat myself multiple times. So, let's get into this. So, the film opens up with the parents of our main lead immigrating from Firetown to Elementville or something like that. I can't remember. And they want to start a new life where things are better for them. It's basically an immigrant story, but with fire. Anyway, let's continue on. They try to get their own places, but everyone, of course, rejects them because they're being fireist, even though it kind of makes sense. Like, they're made out of fire. They can burn anything. Like, there's not a lot of materials in buildings that are fireproof. And if there were, it would probably be really expensive. Anyway, continuing on. Then the couple finds a abandoned water area beneath like the city, and they start a shop there. They have a daughter named Amber, and Amber really wants to take over the store after her father is retired. But there's one problem. She has anger issues. Now, this is a pretty relatable concept. Like, I used to work at retail at a grocery store. I was a cart runner and bagger, and people can be frustrating. I'm just going to say it. People can be really frustrating to deal with. Some that don't understand how things go, choose to be lazy. You'll get the point. Like, I can get that being relatable for some people. But anyway, so her father eventually tests her to see if she is ready to take over the family business, which she's not, and has to go downstairs to let off some steam, which ends up causing the restaurant or whatever it's called, I don't remember, to be filled of water. And we meet our second character, Wade, the water one, and I hate him. Oh my gosh, I hate Wade. He is such a crybaby. Like, I was hoping that we would have a character that's male that wasn't demoralized, but oh my gosh, he is annoying. He literally cries the first time we see him. Now I can see some dumb person going like, technically not every male has to be tough and masculine and all that. And I have to say, yes, that's true, but at the same time, you could have a male character that's better than this. He doesn't even have to be a super macho man. He doesn't need to have like a 10-pack or be like 400 feet tall. Like, oh my gosh. I just want a male character who is respected and doesn't just get sidelined by the female character. I'm getting so sick of this concept. But anyway, Crybaby Wade discovers that Amber's family's restaurant wasn't officially approved for all the modifications that her dad did, and Wade has to report her family, and Amber chases him all the way to Element City, and Wade turns in the thing, but then Amber says a speech that makes him cry, because of course, why not? And even though it's already too late, he wants to try to reverse it, which then they go to this plant guy who mails them things about the city or buildings or whatever. And Wade starts to cry as he's trying to explain Amber's situation, which Amber's trying to stop him but fails. And she ends up burning the whole thing, but he still slips the piece of paper in, and bam, movie over. I'm just kidding, I wish. Then Wade's upset. He leaves her. Amber is upset that she wasn't able to fix the situation and has to tell her dad that because of her, their restaurant's going to be shut down, which she never ends up doing. She ends up doing something else at some point. I really can't remember what. And at some point, she runs into Wade again, because of the sports game that's happening, and they run into each other again, and we get this whole cringy joke about how she's hot and all that stuff. Like, get it? Like, she's hot because she's made out of fire instead of hot like, man, she's hot or something. I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that. Like, it wasn't funny at all. That joke was not funny. So then Wade explains to her that he has some tickets to the game, and they go in the game and they meet the lady who's in charge of the of shutting down companies if needed, or I don't remember what she does. And she's a big sports fan because why not? The sports goes on. One of the players is sucking because of situations with his mom, which makes sense. Then they do a whole wave thing, and after some convincing, Cloud Lady, I don't remember her name because I really don't care, she says that if they can figure out a way to fix the water problem, they got a deal. But the problem is Wade can't get that because the construction team that he was working for at the time put them in concrete, So Amber and Wade have to figure it out on their own. And one of their hangouts, they're like at some beach or something like that. And Amber shows this really talented glass technique, which we also get a story about how there was this mystical flower that was basically indestructible to every element, and they were going to go in, but then they were discriminated out because fire bad. And she bases the glass thing that she makes off of the flower that she never got to see, which then after she shows off the glass abilities, they realize they can make a glass barrier. So they do that. So then the area's safe. Cloud Lady's proud. On the way, Amber and Wade start falling in love at some point. At some point, Wade goes to her dad's shop, which her dad, being Waterest, tries to absolutely destroy him with the spiciest food, and eventually getting kicked out for ruining the spiciest food. And yada yada yada. Amber and Wade do more things. They fall more in love. Eventually, the mom finds out at some point. Amber gets to visit Wade's family, and then after that, Amber's mom encounters them, I should say, and shows that they can't be a thing, but Wade proves them wrong by setting on fire some torch thing, which is utter nonsense. And Fire Mom is very intrigued by this, and she makes a deal to keep their relationship as a secret for some reason. Then life goes on. Amber's dad is getting old, but as the film previously established, she wanted the store for herself, but now that her dad's getting old, the shop's getting passed on to her, and also she's in a midlife crisis of sorts, trying to figure out if she wants to shop or if she wants to do her own thing with talent, which kind of seems a bit selfish now to just go like, hey dad, I know how you're getting old and stuff and your flame's running out, but I don't feel like running the shop for some reason. I want to make glass. Even though you're literally dying, I want to do something else with my life. And that just sounds so freaking rude, to be honest. So then Amber's dad eventually finds out that they're a thing because there was some breakup scene, which Wade comes back and yada yada for contrivances. Then to add insult to injury or just create a lazy final act, the glass that Amber and Wade made just decides to break for absolutely no reason. It was tough stuff. The film established that the stuff was tough. But it just decided, nope, I'm gonna break for no reason. Like, oh my gosh. It was so stupid. So then, Wade and Amber have to stop it, and there's this whole contrivance where, Wade has to evaporate to save the day, and then that's the end of the movie. No, I'm just joking. We know Disney's not going to do that. So we know how Disney likes to do the surprise reveal of he actually survived this, which I think for the most part has worked, except for this. So, this is kind of like one of the dumbest things that the movie did. Apparently, after Amber says how much she's gonna miss Wade and how she didn't want to disappoint the legacy by getting the restaurant closed, I'll say we do have a sweet moment where Amber's dad said, "The dream wasn't the restaurant, the store. The dream was you." I'll admit that was a nice moment. And as they keep talking about how she really liked Wade, Wade just cries himself back into existence, which makes absolute no sense. Now, I started thinking, so I saw a review ahead of time of this, but then I started thinking, wait, can't vapor or steam turn back into water? Did some research. It sounds like it kinda can. Here's an article I found on it. But how it says on the article and how the movie did it makes absolute no sense. So they just created this random stuff, and also crying saves the day. Yeah. It's the stupidest thing in the world. I'm sorry. It's really stupid. So then Amber and Wade, they go across the world so she can promote her glass, which why doesn't she just do it here? Like, I think with all the uniting that just happened, I think people will buy glass. I think what the glass thing she does will make money, and then it will spread and yada yada yada. I don't know. They leave, and that's the end of the movie. Oh, and there's some contrivance plot that Cloud Lady and Earth Guy, who sent the note guy, are now a thing, and that is Elementals. That is the dumbest movie. I had to say that's one of the dumbest movies I ever saw in my life. Granted, I could see, as much as I do not like this movie and I think it's absolutely stupid, I could see how this one could be somewhat have an audience, is the right term I'm trying to think of. I could see this one somewhat having an audience. Like, it's not the worst thing. It doesn't shove too many messages in, even though it still does. But just to me, nothing about this story is really good. I'd say except like the dream wasn't the restaurant, the dream was you thing. That was probably the only emotional part that I liked. But everything else just doesn't feel like a good movie. Like, the romance sucks in this movie. It really sucks. The visuals are cool, but that's all I can give it. The characters are unbelievably annoying. Like, Wade was probably the one I was frustrated with the most because he was such a crybaby. Like, jeez. What would I have to rate this film? I would give it like a 5 out of 10. This movie sucks. Avoid it. It really sucks. Don't even waste your time watching it on Disney Plus. It just sucks. Anyway, this is D to the B signing off. Bye.